Hi, welcome to the channel. I wanted to do a quick video on how I fill my brows in with hair dye, specifically beard dye that you can get at any store, drugstore, or a store nearby you, and how I do it, how long I leave it on for. It's pretty simple, straightforward, but it honestly does really help. If you don't want to have to fill in your brows when you're doing your makeup routine, or you don't want to wear makeup at all, but you want your brows to look a little fuller or just a little, maybe one shade darker than your natural eyebrow color. So for me personally, I stick to either the same shade as my natural brows or maybe one shade darker. For me, I have medium to dark eyebrows, kind of a shade between a shade 4 and shade 2. I would say the brand Just for Men, it's for mustache and beard dye, and I use the M-45 dark brown. You usually just leave it on for 5 minutes, and you put it on, you leave it on for about 5 minutes, and then you either just wash it out and you mix what they have. They give you small, like little small tubes. That would be your developer and then the dye. I would say this lasts me about a year. This lasts me a long time. I wouldn't recommend keeping this for that long. I just don't normally dye my eyebrows a lot. I will probably do it maybe, sometimes it's every 2 weeks, but it can also be every 2 months. It just really depends on if it got washed out and it just looks like I need to do them. So it just really depends. I would say the dye stays in my brows for about 2 weeks. Then I start to see it fully fade, but that can really depend on the dye that you use, the shade that you use, and if you're washing your face a lot, that can also take off a lot of the dye. So it comes with one of the applicators like this on the box, but I don't use that because you can't get it as precise onto your brow. So I personally use a Q-tip, and I put the dye on the Q-tip and I just put it onto the brow. I really try to not put it on my skin, because if you put it on your skin, that can also tint your skin, dye your skin temporarily. Try not to get it on your skin. I've done it before. It's not fun trying to get that out. It will come with like instructions. Takes about 5 minutes that you can leave on, but personally, I don't think I need to leave them on that long. I think my eyebrows like get dark pretty quickly after putting this on, so if you want to read that, I don't normally keep them on for that long. And then you have so it comes in a tray. It really depends. If I just put it on really quickly and I notice that I do have a lot of it still on like the excess of my skin, then like I don't leave it on that long. I'm just gonna do this really quickly off camera, but they come in like the small tubes. You don't need a whole lot, and that's why they just one box has lasted me this long. But I only put in like the smallest amount. So I just mix the developer and the dye together with a dry Q-tip, and I just mix that until it's all combined. And you give that like a good minute of just mixing, making sure it's all blended together, because you don't want it to be like parts of it still just developer or parts just dye. So I just keep mixing it until I see that it's all fully blended out. And then I can take at least what I have on the Q-tip. So it's gonna look like that, depending on the shade that you use. I personally would only go either my own shade or one shade darker, unless you're trying to lighten your brows. That's a whole different story. You need like some type of lightener or high developer, but this is just what I personally would do, and you don't want it anywhere else. I didn't want to put any makeup on for this, so what I do is I'll take the Q-tip and just put it on the brow. I do not put it anywhere else, because again, that's gonna dye your skin, and yeah, it's not gonna be perfect. But if you do get excess, like right there, I just got it on my skin, I would go in with a separate Q-tip and just take that off before leaving the rest of the dye on my eyebrows. And I just go back and forth to really get it in there, because if I just go one way, one stroke in one direction, I feel like it doesn't fully go into my eyebrows. So I'll just brush it back and then brush it to the original way my eyebrows go. Again, this is gonna vary for how your eyebrows are, but then I take another Q-tip and just make sure I'm not getting it onto my skin. I I figured I would zoom in so you can get a better... I have like sunscreen on this morning. I don't have any makeup on because I didn't want to put makeup on while trying to do this, but there is like some excess sunscreen. This is mostly a demonstration because I did do this like, I want to say a couple weeks ago. And you kind of just like take out any excess that you see that you don't want. You feel like you need more, then I just grab any leftover on the tray and just put it where there might not be enough dye. And while you're doing this, I would definitely use either your phone or just check the clock to make sure you're timing how long you're leaving the dye on your brows. I would never go longer than 5 minutes just because they do get fairly dark depending on the shade again, but I would probably only leave this on for like probably a couple minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, but 5 minutes at the most. Really depends on how dark or how much of a difference you want it to be when you're dyeing your brows. But I find this to be a really good alternative when you just want your eyebrows to look a lot fuller and you don't want to have to put a lot of makeup on. I'm just gonna do one so we can really fully see the difference, but I personally will either have like either be by the sink and just either use the water, or you could use makeup remover, or you could use like a hot towel. I would just use like either a paper towel or use like micellar water or toner to wipe it off, the excess off, or you could also use face wash to get the excess or the rest of this off when you're fully done and you think you've had it on for a long time. That is like pretty much what I do, and then I just basically have something nearby to wipe off all of the dye that I just put on my brows. I'm gonna wipe this one off so we can like see if it was much of a difference. I'm gonna try to leave this on for about a minute. It's 10:28, so I'm gonna leave it on for another 2 minutes because I've had this on for this will probably be the 5-minute mark, so that like works out perfectly. So we need 1 more minute and then I'm gonna take it off and we can like see how it really does help. I do have some previous dye in my brows right now because I did do it 2 weeks ago, so it's not fully faded out, but I think it still looks good even if you've done it 2 weeks ago. So I don't think like that's too short of a period in between to re-dye them. I personally don't do it, mostly because I'm lazy, but usually it's every 2 months or every 2 weeks. Really just depends on how I'm feeling about my brows. Really ridiculous with only one brow being dyed, but I just want to show you the difference on how it looks when one is dyed and when one's not, and how it does make a full difference. But it's been the full minutes. I'm going to wipe off the excess with a paper towel, and I just put some warm water on it, and we're gonna take it off. And I would just be very careful when you're wiping this off if that's the way that you're gonna wash it off, just because you don't want to drag your skin too harshly. And then I do the same thing of how I'm dyeing my brows, of how I'm wiping them off. It's just going in every direction, making sure there's no excess being left on my brows. And there might be slight discoloration on my skin because I'm doing it through the viewfinder of my camera and not an actual mirror, so it's not as precise, but I think it really does show. It can really help just like fill in the rest of your brows when you don't want to fill them in. That's what it looks like fully after the fact. I just want to show you that you can make either your eyebrows look a little thicker or maybe just a little darker on some parts of your brows that has less density than some parts of your brows. For me, I have less density in the beginning of my brow and the tail end. The thickest part of my brow is like right here, so I like to really focus on the ends, the tail of my brow and the beginning, to just get it to look a little bit more streamlined and have it look a little bit more thicker for my brows, so I don't have to do that, and I don't have to do it every single day. I don't have to do my brows every single day, and makes me feel like I don't have to wear makeup as much, and I don't really wear makeup a whole lot. But I think it's a good alternative. It's really affordable. I think it's either $10 or less. I'm gonna put a price point of what it usually is. It's between $7 or $10, I want to say, but really works, and I like that it makes my eyebrows just look a lot fuller. It's a good alternative, especially when you don't want to have to do like a full face of makeup and you don't have to do any eyebrow product, or you just don't want any makeup on in general. I think it's just a really good alternative. I know a lot of people do tint their brows or their lashes, and that can really enhance your natural features. So this is what I do to keep my brows looking a little bit thicker than what they normally are, and I think it is really effective for having that. My eyebrows stay pretty dark or dyed to the level that I want it to stays like that for a good few weeks. So I think it's, and also you don't have to buy it a lot. But I'm not as presentable right now, don't have makeup on, but I just wanted to do the eyebrows and show how you can make them look a little thicker without it just being the growing out process, which again I did do a previous video on. This video will be linked down below in that video, either in the comment section or just the description or both. And this video I will link the how I grew my eyebrows out from very thin to very thick in less than a year. So I'm going to do that, and I just want to say, like, thank you so much for watching this. I hope I see you in the next one. Bye.